you doing? It's me, your old pal Henry Slime Pussy. And I'm ready to take you on a journey of wonderful pussy slime. Come up in me, children, and experience my wonderful slimy body. Enter in my orifices, and just go all over like a McDonald's play place. Go in my ball pit. Go in my slime lung. Go in my slime booty. Go in my slime eyes. Go in my slime nostrils. You won't believe what a slime time you will have. Here at Henry Slime Pussy Emporium. Get your slime pussy on right now. We do slime poetry every night.
Welcome to the show. This is House of Decline.
This beloved new House of Decline character, Henry Slime
Pussy.
Oh
yeah, Mr. Henry Slime Pussy. What are your pronouns, Mr. Henry Slime Pussy?
Oh, I'm a he, him, but you don't need to push that academic language on me. I don't need to use the language of the PMC. I'm Henry Slime Pussy. I'm for all the children.
You're for the children?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Not unlike Wu-Tang and Jeffrey Epstein, I am for the children. Pronoun checks are fraught, but you know which spaces you should do them in. You sort of get a sixth sense for that, you know.
I think it works.
There are some spaces.
Yeah, I think it works for Mr. Henry Slime Pussy. I think that's a good time to ask, because...
Why? You think Henry Slime Pussy is ambiguously gendered?
Could be. He was... You know, I was thinking...
You're calling him a he, so clearly you've made up your mind.
That's because he just said that what they were.
You're right, and my character's he, him.
Yeah. But before...
You know, why would you assume Henry Slime Pussy? Just because his last name has pussy in it, you know?
No, from the way he was talking, where he was using slime instead of every other word.
I was doing a mildly racist Bootsy Collins impression, and you dare...
Oh, it's Bootsy, baby. Bootsy.
You were just doing
how I would love
you were just doing old Greg.
Who's old Greg? Oh, now old Greg sounds like this. It's is old Greg now? It's probably seen as transphobic now.
I don't know. It was so niche at the time. I mean,
because he's talking about his mangina, which is definitely not it's a word. It's not a word that they use anymore.
Yeah, well, that came at the end of that sketch. But yeah, I guess that old Greg would probably be cancelable in some way. But it's a little just too bizarre, like the whole thing. Like he's a fish person.
But you can still be absurd and still be transphobic. You know, that's the attack helicopter joke. It's an absurdist joke that's still transphobic.
So you're admitting it, basically.
What?
You're just admitting it.
I'm admitting. What do you mean I'm admitting it?
That's a good trap I'm setting.
That's it. You got. Oh, God damn it.
Yeah, you can't.
You're gonna use that.
You can't. I love to use. Oh, so you admit it? And then they're like, "What?" Yeah.
That's what was going on this week. That's who we should bring up. Speaking of like weirdness around trans issues, we got our old pal vaush making the rounds.
Vaush.
Vaush. He said, "Are you ready to become a vaushist?"
No, I don't care about the Twitch political scene at all.
The Twitch debate community.
Yeah, not one single iota of me cares about it.
I care about it because for the same reason I care about politics, not because I am ideologically motivated, really, but because it's a fucking freak show of weird, sick freaks. And okay. Vaush is one of them. Vaush.
Okay. So he brings the bearded weirdos to the left, is what you've told me, I think.
Well, I don't know if he does that. That's the current debate amongst the left people on Twitter is Vaush actually doing something? Is he making a difference, or is he just getting a field of people that look exactly like him to agree with him. And that disclosure here, I do look like Vaush. I am one of those guys. I absolutely am a fat, sweaty, hunched over beardo. And okay, so here's what I want to get into is my greater beardo theory. So we use the word beardo instinctively. And when you use the word beardo, you think of a guy like Vaush, or on another side, Matt Christman from Chapo Trap House. And me, I would say that I'm a beardo. And you don't have to have a beard to be a beardo.
Thank you.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I agree.
It's a state of mind.
It is. And I can be a beardo too.
Yeah, yes, you are a very good example of a clean-shaven beardo.
I say this without qualifications, without knowing what else you're going to say beardos are like. So I reserve the right to not be one anymore if I don't like what you're about to say.
Beardos have a combination of like very strong conviction in their tiny, minute areas of interest. They have, like, extremely strong opinions about that shit. They always have a simmering rage beneath them. There's always, like, even if they're, like, very friendly guys in real life, there's always, you sense there's this just boiling rage of injustice underneath.
And it's because really it ties back to GameCube using the tiny discs and then switching back to cartridges, right? What the fuck was that, Nintendo?
That's a real beardo complaint. Yeah. That is that simmering rage over that tiny little minutia. And also this mysticism. There's a mysticism to the beardo. There is this, like, sort of Gnostic affirmation that must occur in order for the beardo to justify his behavior. So, you have lots of film beardos. Yeah. You have lots of... But the most prominent one is our political beardos. Sargon of Akkad, extreme beardo. Incredible beardo.
Yeah.
And they actually made a beardo show about the idealized beardo, and that show was Lodge 49 with Wyatt Russell, who's like a Hollywood beardo. He's not a real beardo, but he'll play a beardo.
Okay, I thought Lodge 49 was like a combo between Crying of Lot 49 and David Lynch's like the Black Lodge stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of that stuff in there, but it's about a beardo's journey to accepting community, essentially.
Oh, okay, that's not. I don't think I'm gonna watch it then.
It's good. Lodge 49's real good.
Did you watch show Warrior? Did you watch Warrior?
No, it was Warrior. What was Warrior about?
Warrior's about a 19th century gang war between the Tongs in San Francisco. So Chinese immigrants coming to San Francisco in the 19th century sometimes would join one of the Chinese gangs called the Tongs, and they were having like wars during that time, like right after the Civil War. And it's apparently based on some writings of Bruce Lee. But unfortunately, I didn't find the show to be very good. But it's got a lot of nudity and a lot of kung fu. Yeah. So if you like kung fu and nudity, watch Warrior.
Some nude titties.
If you like interesting like character and plot development, it's I don't know. Yeah, it's a little scattered. Maybe it gets better though. Anyway, back to Beardland.
Well, beardo. So the reason why I go on about the beardos is, why do we have so many of these beardo people in our society? We are a beardo podcast. Who's an example of a not beardo? Somebody that has a beard but is not a beardo.
Oh, has a beard but's not a beardo? That's
yeah.
Okay, well that's harder.
It's anyone with like a very well manicured or like Jonathan Van Ness from Queer Eye is not a beardo despite having a beard.
Okay. Maybe Kumail Nanjiani, but does he have a beard or is he just like unshaven?
He doesn't. He's had beards.
I don't think he can grow one anymore.
He's not a beardo either.
He can't grow one anymore because of the steroids. It's unfortunate.
Yeah, yeah. His body's fighting back with all the estrogen. Yeah. He's gonna have a very high voice in 2 years. It'll be funny.
Yeah, he is. He needs to cool it. This Marvel thing is really gonna like be a detriment to the health of our actors because they're all going to be on steroids.
Frankly, I think it's hot. There's nothing hotter than the idea of this, like, sculpted strength man, but they're as weak as a feather because, like, all of their glucose is constantly depleted.
Yeah, and you know they can take stuff in the butt because of the steroid use is often done that way. So,
yes.
Super hot.
Yes, with big suppositories. What Vaush said this week was very Beardo thing, is like thousands, if not millions of people have been so-and-so like de-radicalized by Twitch debate.
Uh-huh.
Or he was just giving a lot of credence to the idea of a Twitch debate as a way to generate political awareness or political activation. And I guess I don't disagree. Like, I see no evidence. I see anecdotal evidence that Twitch debate is useful in, de-radicalizing people or getting people on board with at least more universally popular socialist programs like universal healthcare. Mm-hmm. I guess there is some measure to that. I mean, it's what I see Twitch debate is more useful for is like exposing somebody as a weird guy, or like YouTube personalities accidentally go. The funniest one was when the streamer Destiny, who's also an objectionable polarizing figure, definite beardo, extreme beardo, absolutely has a strong beardo energy. Mm-hmm. He debated JonTron, who got famous for being a YouTube game reviewer guy,
also a beardo.
Yes, he is a beard. There is that simmering rage. He did evidence the simmering rage. I don't know if he has the mysticism necessary for a beardo. I think he might not be a beardo, actually.
Well, just ask him if he listens to Tool, and then you'll find out.
Tool, very strong beardo music.
Yeah,
heavy beardo music.
It's part of their mysticality. It's very mystical.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Maynard is not a beardo, which is interesting.
No, he isn't a beardo.
No, he hates
has
that.
The simmering rage. He has the mysticism. He has the specific knowledge of esoteric things.
No.
But
my theory about
Maynard
is that he's bullshitting, and he knows he's bullshitting, and he knows some people know, like all of the picking special numbers stuff, like
all the numerology.
It's like, come on, he is a gimmick.
Or like the wine, he doesn't grow his own wine. He gets people to do that for him.
The rest of Tool are it's like three beardos and a sociopath making great music. It is.
That is Tool. Three beardos and a sociopath that sings like Ayumi Hamasaki, that sings like a Japanese pop star for some reason.
Yeah, no.
Magic moment
for the last album, Maynard wrote all of the lyrics for the last album in like 2016, and then went off to do Wine, and then the three other members spent like 5 years crafting it to perfection. He was like, "Oh yeah, I don't know when they're going to be done with that. I don't care."
Yeah, because the three other members of Tool, I love the three members of Tool that are good.
Yeah.
They're all insanely talented people. And I think especially not enough is Adam Jones. His guitar playing is great. People undersell him as a guitarist, but he's a great guitar player. And but more importantly is the fucking art direction, which was key to Tool's popularity, as they had those fucked up claymation videos.
Yeah, it was really big with girls in the year 2003 with used cars, like a Volkswagen Jetta or something. Very Tool.
Yeah.
So do you think Vaush, do you think he's like really de-radicalized anyone with Twitch?
Well, he's not a radical. His whole pitch is he's a market socialist, right? So he's like...
Okay, so he's an Elizabeth Warren guy?
Yeah, no, he was a Bernie guy. He's not that bad. But I'm sure he wouldn't have as many bad things to say about Elizabeth Warren as, say, the Chapos would or something like that. He's definitely way less radical than a lot of the other left figures out there, which is, I think, why a lot of the other figures on the left despise him, too, because they see him as, like, half-measure Radlib guy.
Oh,
not
half
even
measure
Radlib guy.
vaush, as they say.
Yeah. Old cummy beard McFlotsam. Just ranting on. But I think what makes Vaush funny, you know, his politics I think are pretty anodyne, actually. He says like a lot of stupid, you know, white guy with entitlement shit who like, and nobody's told him no before. And he's very confident, and he's got like 1 million fans, so it's like, yeah, whatever, I said the N-word a couple times, whatever, man. You know, it's like, he doesn't feel the need to do his big mea culpa. I mean, he apologized for using the N-word, but people see it build it as part of a greater case against his general ineffectuality at building an actual coalition, because he does tend to alienate a lot of black people and trans people and gay people with some of the stuff he says in the pursuit of getting the guy that looks like him, in pursuit of getting, you know, the center right or centrist guy or right guy that looks like him. So there's that, you know, there's that fear in your attempts to build the bridge across the aisle to the alienated white working class, or whatever that looks like to you in your head. You will discard the people on the very far left because you know they have to come crawling back to you anyway in order to get to your institutional power as a centrist. I mean, it's what the Democrats do too. You know, you always appeal to the right because you know the left has no choice but to go to you in the end.
I'm always centering stuff on the website. I'm always putting stuff right in the middle.
That's what you got. You see, it's like politics is like a website.
Yeah.
It doesn't look right if things are off center.
You gotta put everything,
keep it in the middle,
smack dab right in the middle.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, so that's, I mean, he kind of has, or I don't say he, but there's kind of the point to doing political stuff on Twitch, because I think a lot of working class people watch Twitch. But young people, there's like only young demographic. And the thing about the young demographic is that they're more naturally anti-authority anyway. So it's not that hard to get them to go one way or the other, depending on the time of day. Sorry, young people, I guess I'm biased against you.
Well, I think because the compare Vaush to Hassan Piker, who's absolutely not a beardo, despite having a magnificent beard. Hassan Piker, definitely not a beardo, because he does have that rage, but it's not simmering rage, it's outward bro rage, you know? Which is like, and I feel it's like he's popular because of his generalist approach to video games. He doesn't have that sort of specificity of focus that a beardo needs in order to truly beard it up.
Do you watch these guys? Do you watch Hassan?
Beardtube.
You watch Hassan Piker or Vaush on Twitch?
No, I feel it's for a younger audience than me.
It is.
I feel it's specifically for Zoomers. Like, I missed the boat on that type of content. Like the stuff the last thing I watched on Twitch that was actually very nice was the guys, the people from E1 have another music podcast with like Robin Hatch, who's a musician I like, called Fortune Kit of Kit, and they were Nate Ruiz from Fun apparently is now a left Twitter guy, which is funny. I'm glad that happened. You know the band Fun?
Nope.
They were that band that did what's that fucking song?
I only listen.
Tonight,
Oh God.
we are young.
No.
Set the world on fire.
No.
Make it go higher. But yeah, so they made very anodyne pop music, and now the main guy is like a left Twitter figure, which is funny.
Well,
and so they were trying to explain Messiaen to him, and it was a good Twitch cast. All the Fortune Kit guys who are like real music heads were trying to explain Messiaen to Nate Ruiz, who's like
the composer,
can't read music.
You're talking about the composer?
Yeah, they're trying to explain Olivier Messiaen, the composer, and they were playing the Tarangalila Symphony and like all the bird stuff. And Nate Ruiz was like, "Yeah, this sounds awesome, dudes. This sounds great. I'm watching the basketball game." And that's my speed of Twitch, where it's just like, well, it's this cultural thing, and we're gonna explore Messian and chat.
Oh, that's funny. That sounds like NPR Twitch.
Yeah, it's a very, that's millennial Twitch, which is way more boring, but it's a world that I understand more than Zoomer Twitch, which seems very fast paced and like you know how a '90s person would feel in a Japanese game show, totally unprepared.
That's funny. Ah, man. Most Extreme Elimination Challenge was a great show.
Yes, because Beat Takeshi is a great man.
Yeah, I would like to go back. I remember discovering that show kind of before the internet, and when you did that, you were able to like discover a show and feel like a personal attachment to it, like it was something that you did because you were awake at that hour and you decided to flip the channel. And when you found out that other people liked it, it kind of took some of the shine away,
Yeah, other people had made that same discovery. I had that with Red Shoe Diaries.
I don't know what that is, so maybe...
That's David Duchovny's 90s softcore pornography show that, if you... In Canada, if you stayed up till 1:30 a.m. on a Friday night, City TV would start airing their softcore pornography block. And, eventually you could catch a Red Shoe Diary.
And it was David Duchovny.
Yeah, David Duchovny was the narrator,
Oh, sexy.
Yeah. And it was like detective stories, but like occasionally they would have like really soft focus shots of breasts. And they would have like that really 90s soft porn music that sounded like the band Enigma,
And a soprano sax at some point, I bet.
Yeah, precisely.
Probably a synth soprano sax, if we're being honest.
Yeah, 90s soft porn, 90s like high quality soft porn aesthetic, where it's a guy who's like really trying, like the DOP is really trying on this one. Yeah, that's what we need to do. We need to bring back soft porn. That's how we're gonna. That's like the feminism. That's how we're bringing back feminism.
To calm the Zoomers down, we have to just titrate with softcore until they're not vibrating so much.
Exactly. That's the problem with all of these kids is because they have access to hardcore pornography. Their expectations get too high and they become alone and isolated and turn towards the fash, which is Japan had it right. Ban all the hardcore, cover up all the penises,
Just
softcore only country.
Just blur the very tips of all the holes.
Yeah, exactly. Their pornography laws were correct.
Yeah, well, and they're like, and you ask them about it, and they're like, that's how you stop the entire country from turning into a fascist autocracy. You blur the tips of all the holes.
And we all know that Japan's young men are very sexually healthy and active.
Yeah, it's great. They got it all figured out.
That's a common thing.
They got it all figured out.
That was a funny thing making its way through the old news cycle is there was a moral panic about America's young men are becoming hikikomori.
Yeah.
It's the hikikomori. They're coming for us. They're just going to stay in their rooms and play video games.
That's coming. Round 2 of that is coming after the pandemic. Because already, it's the business community that they're making noise that they can't find enough employees and there's a labor shortage. And they're blaming the government because of the paltry amount of money sent to people during the pandemic. So now you got the, Joe's Crab Shack saying that they can't find anyone to sling crab for $8 an hour because the government gave them $2,000 that one time. And you know what? I think it's really more of... I mean, it might be that, but the Joe's Crab Shack needs to pay better because slinging crabs sucks. And dealing with the public sucks. So, F you, Joe. Why don't you pay better? I'm going to stay home and be neither in education or employed. And whatever the T stands for.
Joe doesn't want to pay more because he is the job creator.
What does the T
You
stand for?
are the one who is coming to him. What?
What does the T stand for in NEAT? Neither in
And
education,
needs not
employment?
in education, not employed education or training.
Oh, or yeah, training. Or trading.
Training.
It's
Some sort of job training.
They do trading, though, with the Pokemon cards and...
and GME stocks.
Yeah.
Hi-oh! I lost all my money on GME, but I raided my mom's purse, so I got some more.
Got like $10,000 out of my mom's purse.
Yeah. To spend on, just to lose on GME stocks. I bought it the wrong time, damn it.
Yeah, I saw a post on the Wall Street Bets about someone who was investing in fancy gourds. And,
Fancy gourds?
Yeah, like squash, like fancy squash. And they got decimated by COVID because nobody was going to anyone's house for Thanksgiving. And
That's the Simpsons joke.
And so
that's Homer's pumpkin futures.
Yeah, and so I think it was a shit post. And so, but because no one was going to other people's houses for Thanksgiving, no one was buying fancy gourds for their centerpieces.
Yeah.
But I think it was someone writing out that Simpsons bit.
Probably. Incidentally, Fancy Gourds is the name of the best restaurant in Toronto.
Really? It's the best
Come
one.
on down to Fancy Gourds. We got steak au poivre. Oh, the Leafs come and eat here all the time. You'll see Austin Matthews chowing down on our poutine.
Is that one
It's
of their...
made with duck fat.
Is that one of your sports players?
Austin Matthews, yeah, he's the Leafs golden boy right now. He's very young and he's got a dirty mustache and he's a hockey phenom.
So in hockey,
Built
there's
the
a
team
position
around him.
In hockey, there's a position called Golden Boy.
Yeah, yeah, that's the guy that gets pissed on at center ice.
Yeah, and he slips on the piss because it froze and
Yeah. Oh no. Oh no, my tongue is stuck to my tongue is frozen to the piss. The hazards of hockey. They should really take the golden boy out.
Yeah, that's funny. They should put him in a. They already have him in a separate chamber, just the chamber for the golden boy to be pissed on, and they let the let
penalty
the
box.
do it.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, that would be fantastic.
Oh, golden boy! And the golden boy is coming on the ice. Oh, he's going for the mouth. He's going for the mouth. He shoots. He scores.
What if instead of the penalty box, it was the golden boy box?
I called it the penalty box.
The penalty box.
The penalty box.
For all your penal matters.
Yeah. But the guy that you really don't want to mess with is Shit Boy. Just shit on him at center ice.
Wow.
Pee on the ice is funny. Shit on the ice, you're skating through that shit. It's a disaster.
Slicing it up, you're dicing it like a cucumber because it's frozen.
Oh no, the shit was too large, and now it looks like a bunch of pucks are on the ice. And which one's the real puck? I can't. They're just sliced up pieces of turd.
All right, I have an idea for a prank. You get a puck mold and you shit into it and you freeze it, and you go to a NHL game and you throw it onto the ice and you see if you can get them to play with your shit.
Oh yeah. The shit puck was a real problem in Canada. The real problem was shit pucks.
And then they started doing it with piss. They started doing piss pucks.
Don't make me get a piss puck out here. Don't make me shove a piss puck down your throat. In Canada, everything comes in puck form. That's why our favorite type of steak is filet mignon.
Yeah,
because it is the most puck-like steak.
It is. I remember cooking a filet mignon the first time. I was really put off by the shape of it, but it worked out well, and it's a great piece of meat. House of Decline is brought to you today by Filet Mignon.
It's brought to you today by the Puck Meat Council. Eat more puck-like shapes of meat. A bunch of Canadian townies getting excited about Midsummer Night's Dream because there's a character named Puck in it, but are disappointed. Oh, he's just some sort of gay fawn. I thought he was gonna be some sort of black disc. That would have really piqued my interest in this play.
Yeah. Marge, he's just a gay fawn. I can't do Homer.
Marge, it's just some sort of gay fawn.
Yeah. I don't know why Homer would be into.
Well, Homer would be into
though.
the Puck thing I think, because I just think he would see it on TV and it would be the plot of an entire Simpsons episode.
Oh yeah, he would get the puck maker and make a bunch of foods into pucks, and he would puckify a bunch of foods.
Marge,
but that was
food
already
shaped like a puck.
Yeah. He already, that's the Power Sauce episode where he compresses all of his food into bar form and he possesses 20 pounds of spaghetti into a single bar, eats it, and then immediately calls the hospital. Some later Simpsons still got it. They still had. The Power Sauce episode is very funny, though. That's an unusually great episode past the Simpsons' golden years. And it has recently rehabilitated pop culture star Brendan Fraser in it as well, which is why we love it.
What do you mean
rehabilitated?
rehabilitated?
He wasn't rehabilitated. He didn't do anything wrong. The reason for why he was out of the public eye is because he got sexually assaulted by a Hollywood executive and then was blackballed from starring in stuff.
Yep.
Because people were afraid he would come forward with his Me Too story.
Yeah, that is a terrible thing. Because he was so handsome and friendly.
Yeah. And now he's just friendly. I can't get it.
Aww.
He's still handsome, but he's gained a bit of weight. But I'm not one to talk because I'm a little fat boy. So Brendan Fraser has joined the legion of little fat boys.
You got a French Diet Coke there? Him. Coke Diet. It says Coke Diet.
Yes. Some diet cock.
He's French. Well, it's crazy they have to do that in Canada. You guys have to have twice as many fonts on everything. Mm-hmm. Just because you got to let the French people see it in their language.
They're very sensitive. The French.
Is that a law? Is that a law in Canada?
For branding, yes, actually. Everything in Canada must be branded bilingually. All packaging on items must have bilingual packaging.
What's the criteria for when a minority group
street signs?
What's the criteria for when a minority group can demand their language on packaging?
Well, in Canada's case, you have to have sort of an uneasy conflict between your French and English halves, leading to a peace and eventual dominance by the Anglo half until the history is that's a fraught history. We could do an entire episode on that. Get somebody who knows about the conflicts between English and French in Canada. That's at the core of our cultural identity. Also, abusing Indigenous people and Indigenous culture.
Yeah, that's why I asked, because I figured it was an easy answer.
Okay, let's put it. I learned this from a play by the great French playwright Robert Lepage. So, the original plans for the Canadian flag, when Lester Pearson was redoing it, was to be red, white, and blue. Those were the colors, because the red was to represent the British, the blue was to represent, the fleur-de-lis and the classic French flag, and the white was just sort of a neutral color. I forget, or the peace. It represented.
And
peace
also, those were
those
were the only colors being used for flags in that time. Anyway,
yeah, you could only use those. But at the very last minute, they vetoed the use of the blue, and so that's sort of a microcosm.
What an insult!
Well, in a way, it is. French culture represents a third of our population, and it's the things that are most distinctly unique in Canadian culture largely do come from Quebec. They have the most distinctive film industry. They have all sorts of I don't know. What else do they have? Montreal, the porno industry, Ubisoft, Rockstar North.
Yeah. Ubisoft is funny that it's in Montreal.
Well, there's huge. Yeah, Montreal is a huge video game industry, huge porno industry.
That's funny. There's a whole country where it's politically incorrect to be mean to the French.
It's definitely not. Everyone in Anglo Canada makes francophone jokes. Everyone makes.
Okay, now that's not. That should stop. That should cease. That should.
Some people would like it to cease. Some people would be very upset.
Yeah.
With my approximation.
Yeah, but me. I went to a French school growing up, so I take this with highest exception, monsieur.
Mm-hmm. But even so, if you think of any Canadian food, what is like a food that you think of as distinctly Canadian?
Ham.
Okay, what I was fishing for was poutine.
Oh.
But ham is a good answer to any sort of food engagement question.
Canadian bacon, Canadian bacon.
Oh yes, Canadian bacon. But I don't know why that belongs to Canada, because back bacon is not. It's not endemic to Canada.
Yeah, it's England. It's the main form of bacon too, I think.
Yeah, which is why I never understood why it's called Canadian bacon, because it's just regular bacon. It's not in England. They call American bacon streaky bacon, which I find insane.
I'm pretty sure it's due to the War of 1812, and you know how Americans are when there's a war. They're like, let's rename the food. French fries, no thank you. Now you're Canadian fries. It was basically what happened with the bacon.
Because that's what actually in the war, then they referenced it in The Simpsons. Sauerkraut was renamed to Liberty Cabbage. That was an actual thing.
This is an Anglo-Saxon thing. When they're like invading someone, they'll appropriate their food and rename it, and then when they're fighting another person and they'll just rename food. It's like if someone renames their food, they're about to do some warlike stuff.
Another great Simpsons joke when the lady investorettes get the pita truck and they call the shawarma a Ben Franklin in order to make them not seem so. Isn't that Helen Lovejoy? Isn't that whole region a little iffy?
Wow,
Simpsons is great.
Cancelable moment on The Simpsons yet again.
Whoa! I think that one still holds up today. There are some jokes on The Simpsons that I think wouldn't fly or would be seen as transphobic, but even then not. There was actually a very interesting anecdote. I was listening to the Talking Simpsons podcast, which is a great podcast on the my preferred Simpsons podcast. And I was listening to their episode on the John Waters episode, Homer's Phobia, and about how the writers at the time were doing their best to be sensitive. And they had John Waters on, who's famously not a stingy guy when it comes to stuff. But one scene, they had written that Homer calls John faggot. And John Waters was like, fellas, you don't want to do this. This is going to be a bit much for network television. Which was amazing to me that John Waters, king of filth, had to tell these white writers in the 90s who were very oblivious to how hurtful the word faggot actually is.
Was one of them Schwartzfelder?
I don't know if one of them was I think it was,
cancel that man! He's a conservative!
There is no movement to cancel Schwartzwelder. There is no serious movement to be like, John Schwartzwelder, it's problematic. If you're good enough, you can get, like, I don't think anyone would seriously try and cancel John Milius, too. Or, like, people definitely try and cancel S. Craig Zoller. His movies are crazy, though. Who are other conservative auteurs?
What's his face? Norm Macdonald.
Norm Macdonald is a conservative auteur.
Oh, auteur? I thought you meant comedian. I don't know. Auteur.
No, he is. But I would also call him sort of he's an auteur of comedy in a way, in that he's a totally unique and distinct voice. There's nobody who does it like Norm.
Yeah.
Is just totally. But speaking of cancellation, and why sort of like Norm or John Milius or any of these guys, I don't think get canceled, is because they don't cultivate an audience that will cancel them for at least their political leanings. The people that watch and buy and consume S. Craig Zoller movies, when it's like, oh, S. Craig Zoller made a reactionary movie that's pro-cop, and the people that like S. Craig Zoller are like, yes, and your point is?
Is that the Dragged Across Concrete guy?
Yeah, but also Bone Tomahawk.
I haven't seen Dragged Across Concrete
Tomahawk
yet. Have you seen
it?
I
love Bone Tomahawk. That's one of my favorite recent horror movies.
You just like to see that guy get split in half.
Yeah, hell yeah, I do. I like to see him split, but there's so many great moments in that movie. I love Matthew Fox gives a great performance and I think Matthew Fox is a bad actor, but he's great in that movie as this totally hateable jackass, but who is weirdly sympathetic. And I think Patrick Wilson, it just has my man Patrick Wilson in it, who's great. I love Patrick Wilson in anything. That guy kicks ass. Who's great in Aquaman. Who's great in Fargo season 2. I love Patrick Wilson. He's got a real soft mouth. I want to lick his soft mouth. And he gives that beautiful speech where he's reading the letter that he wrote to his wife, and it actually seems genuinely heartfelt and from a place of actual romantic yearning. So it's S. Craig Zoller, even though he's a bloodthirsty reactionary dillhole, has some sort of beating heart, which is why I think his movies are compelling. But the reason why, so the big cancel news this week, it was Lindsay Ellis came out with her 1 hour 40-minute I've been canceled video.
Did you watch that whole thing?
I watched it. I'm a Lindsay Ellis fan.
What?
I like Lindsay Ellis.
Oh my
yeah,
goodness.
I know you have no tolerance. Lindsay Ellis is the type of supportive, chubby white girl that gets gays through high school, okay, Steven? You don't understand.
Why didn't you just listen to Radiohead?
I did both.
Okay.
You need both. You need your supportive, chubby white girlfriend who you're supportive theater, and you both love theater and musicals, and you can talk about how you hate your moms.
She's theater kid. She's major theater kid.
Yeah, she's extreme theater kid energy, and I think the general opposition to her is also just the general opposition to theater kid energy.
Yep, that sums it up pretty much.
Yeah. If you don't like theater kids, you're not gonna dig Lindsay Ellis. But I have 1 foot in the water of theater kidism, so I'm fine with it.
Well, I did too, briefly. I mean, it was the only social life I had at all in high school was from the grace of the theater kids, so I should thank them, and I do thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry for being so mean and giving you cigarettes.
I got them all addicted to cigs.
That's what I did in high school. I was like, you guys want to see something cool? Watch this. And then I smoked cigarettes, and they were like, wow.
Whoa, that guy's cool. He can smoke a cigarette.
And that's what high school was like for me. Completely that. Just that. Only good. Anyway.
Lindsay Ellis never smoked with cigarettes. Lindsay Ellis, she got very soft canceled. She just got she had one bad tweet, and then people came at her with her litany of also mildly bad tweets, and she quit Twitter, and this was 2 weeks back. And now she made an hour and 40-minute video about her list of sins and why she's not doing a full mea culpa, but why cancel culture, has gone too far in this kid. Now I'm getting it from the left, just as bad as I got it from the right. And, I'm sure she would say not just as bad, but, it's very funny because Lindsay Ellis cultivates an audience of people that want to feel morally superior, including me. I'm part of that. But because of the way that she presents her style, and because there's this sort of didactic moralism to her work, and it's not that. It's kind of self-effacing, but it tacks more towards the self-aggrandizing than the self-effacing, which I think is par for the course for theater kids who are very self-aggrandizing type of people. And so I think when you have both of those elements, when you sort of have that self-aggrandizing media personality thing, plus an audience that will take people to task for minor slights, you're eventually just going to end up in this situation. And it's like you should I feel that's really the take, which is like, don't cultivate an audience of woke people and then do some unwoke thing. And like gain enough of a following such that they hang on your every word, and these are the natural consequences of that. Not to say that Lindsay Ellis is like, I'm like saying she's bad for like feeling sad that a lot of people were mad at her, or saying bad faith criticisms of her stuff, or calling her a big racist or whatever. But like, I'm sure if I had a tweet that went viral and people were going like, "You suck, Alex," I would probably feel pretty shitty too. But would my reaction to it be creating 1.5 hour video, refuting my shittiness? Probably not. I'd probably just take the L. But she has a different brand, She needs to monetize and commodify the reaction to her statements.
Well, she's also trapped. She's trapped, as in the kind of the same way we found out that Chrissy Teigen is trapped, right?
Yeah.
Chrissy Teigen back on Twitter after a very public deletion of her Twitter, basically been like, you'll never see me again, and like. She could only last a month without it's a drug, because she's getting 1 million heart symbols sent to her every day. It makes you feel amazing.
Yeah. It's that serotonin drip. That's the thing I liked the Chrissy Teigen coming back and trying to play it off, because I found it very humanizing. Because it's like, girl, you're here for the serotonin just as much as me. Don't you can't live without it.
Yeah, we
these
need
nerds
the little hearts.
Created these.
We need a way to like make it so that everyone gets liked anonymously a little bit every day. You kind of just start with some upvotes, as you do. I mean, you do on Reddit basically. You start with like 5. And now that Reddit is life. Now that we live inside the computer, likes are what makes us live. We're going to call them lives soon.
You know what I think this comes down to, really? The quantification of sort of esoteric value, the quantification of subjective value, like, which, it's easy to quantify, say. I mean, it's not easy to quantify any price. The reason why we value something depends on the market and its society, but like trying to quantify something abstract, like how good an opinion is, and doing that with likes,
Yeah.
There's something about it which is like the quantification of abstract ideas turns our society more sociopathic.
It does.
Turns us into these Zuckerberg-like nerds.
It's because there's 2 different processes that go into determining what you will hit a like for, at least on Reddit, and what you will hit a downvote for. Your mind is not consistent, and you will hit downvote for stuff for a whole different even system of reasons that you go through for hitting the upvote. It's almost like it's predetermined. Which is why, we're America's foremost Calvinist podcast. I think the amount of likes something gets is predetermined.
Yeah, well, in a cosmic way, absolutely. Depending on what time of day, depending on your connection to the algorithm. But so I bet sometimes. Okay, so the other reason why I was thinking about vaush, because I had a Lathe of Heaven moment on Friday.
Oh, classic. I love those.
Yeah.
Lathe of Heaven.
I had drawn a cartoon a vaush the night before, just thinking he's a funny character. And, there's just going to be a cartoon about him. And when I posted it the next day, there was actually a lot of vaush discourse because he had said really stupid shit. And there had been another comic that vaush had printed where it's like forgiving vaush for using the N-word. It's like the comic was really bad, and it's by I should promote solidarity, but amongst leftoid comic strips.
That's a weird one. Did you check out their other content?
Yeah, Bread Pains it's called, which reminds me of Brett Payne from Street Fight Radio, which also why it confused me. It's leftist stone toss, which is already a crazy premise. Leftist stone toss, and it's just really ugly, off-putting vector graphics and shit.
Yeah. The graphics are like kind of disturbing. It looks like templates almost that he pushes around.
And they're very middle of the road left wing takes. It's like it's the vaush, it's radlib takes essentially, which is funny that it's called Bread Pains because it's like it's named after the Beardtube is named after Kropotkin's conquest of bread, which is anarcho-communism. This is the one of the texts of anarcho-communism.
Never heard of it.
And vaush is not that at all.
I never heard.
A lot of these Beardtube people are not anarcho anything.
What's the bread thing? I never heard of it. Bread.
Conquest of Bread by Pyotr Kropotkin.
Bread. Oh, Kropotkin I've heard of. I haven't heard of the Conquest.
Yeah, it's great. It's actually, I recommend people read it because it's one of the few pieces of theory I've read. Specifically, the chapter where he describes how a grand piano gets made in an anarcho-communist society is like really fascinating because he acknowledges the need for luxury, which I think is a very overlooked thing. He acknowledged, and like he uses a grand piano as an example of luxury, and how and why a community of, self-interested yeoman farmers would come together to make a fucking piano.
Yeah, you see that. I mean, you see that on YouTube, actually. That's where you can go and you can see, like, 6 neighborhood dads got together and dug out a new water park in their backyard or something. Like a mini water park. They, like, got a mover, got a backhoe, made some earth to make a giant big slide, maybe divert water from a stream, create a pool. You can see that sometimes on YouTube where it's all fake and done for money and clicks and likes. Would it happen without that? Still, I don't know.
I think it would be interesting to see what luxuries that type of society would incentivize, because I think the luxuries that we incentivize in a capitalist society are very consumerist, but maybe there would be more purchase on manufacturing stuff for yourself that's built to last, as opposed to luxury and capitalism, which is very much about how disposable things are. Or even the most expensive computer, especially the most expensive computers like Macs, have this planned obsolescence strategy where they're just out of date within 5 years. Yeah. So I wonder if like the idea of luxury as disposability is more of a feature of a capitalist society, whereas we could still have luxury in a communist or anarchist society, but its feature would be more of crafting things of permanence. But that's total speculation. None of that is rooted in any theory or ideology. It's just rooted in symbological ideologies.
Well, we used to make things.
It makes me wonder. It makes me wonder.
The weird thing is, like in America, there's this sense that we used to make things that lasted, and now we don't. And it's generally the turning point was when plastic was invented.
Yeah.
Which is terrible. I think plastic is the root cause of most of our social ills. I think plastic is the next lead, and in 100 years, people are going to look back and be like, "I can't believe we allowed our food to come in contact with plastic."
Yeah, I mean, it's very funny that it's the right wing is worried about soy feminizing men when it's oil. The oil industry and plastics are actually what screws with the hormones a lot.
Yeah, it's very bad.
That thing about Alex Jones saying the fucking chemicals in the water making the frogs gay. Sounds ridiculous, but that was actually true. There was studies showed that the interference of plastics chemicals was actually having effect on the mating habits of frogs and leading to severe decreases in birth rate.
Yeah, I think that's why the birth rate's going down too.
Yeah,
I think there's plastic in the water, basically.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I think it stands to reason that all of the microplastics we consume might be affecting our health in such a way that we're lazy or more anxious or have a fucked up brain chemistry. Mm-hmm. It just seems like there's no way it couldn't be having some outsized effect on our physical development as a species.
Yeah. Plastic's pretty scary when you stop and think about it.
Mm-hmm.
I got this cable, and it was in a plastic Ziploc bag. A computer cable. It came in a Ziploc bag. In case I wanted to, I guess, put it back in the bag and zip it up so that it wouldn't go bad. And then inside the Ziploc bag, the computer cable was in another smaller plastic bag that was disposable. So I opened that one up, threw that one away, and then also threw the Ziploc one away, because who does that? You know?
We love it's a form of theater, you know. All of the packaging,
the unboxing.
We have unboxing videos for that reason.
Yep.
We like the process of unraveling stuff and opening presents.
Yeah, but you can get something from the thrift store and then box it up yourself and then unbox it.
Yeah, but it's not the same. Someone else has to do it for you, and you can't see it, or else it's not a sighting.
With a drinking habit that's finely tuned, you can do it to perfection. You just do it at the end, near the end of the night, and then you wake up in the morning and you unbox something, and you're like, "How did this get here?"
Yeah, you have to you schedule your blackouts very precisely.
Yeah. So, I back in my drinking days, I was able to schedule blackouts. Like, that's how good I got at it. It was like when there was a situation I didn't want to be around for, I could black myself out. I knew the appropriate amount. It was like being an anesthesiologist in a certain way.
Yeah, I mean that's very much what a Civil War anesthesiologist was doing.
Yeah, it's like you need
the
to
exact
drink
right amount of whiskey.
It's like for men your weight. 1.5 liters of whiskey. And boom. Boom.
I like the idea of you getting drunk enough to do self-amputation.
I got drunk enough to do all kinds of excellent cooking. That's what I would do.
When you say excellent, are you using it facetiously, or like you actually blacked out and like made incredible food?
Yeah, I blacked out and made incredible food. That's what I would do.
That's pretty good.
And I wake up with the stove is still on. When I wake up, I'm like, oh no.
Oh, why do I have this spiral burn mark on my face?
Yeah.
Oh man. Drinking. I had a beer last night for the first time in maybe years. Just because some punks at the dog park were having some beers and they offered me one. I was like, I didn't want to seem uncool to the punks.
Yeah. Did you give them something in return?
No, I know these guys. I know these guys.
Well, bring some M&Ms to give to them.
I'll probably buy some beers.
Give them some M&Ms. And beers, I guess. I guess they want beers.
You can't. Bringing chocolate to a dog park is a faux pas.
Ooh.
Because dogs are very allergic to chocolate.
I love that wordplay. A faux pas? Like a dog's paw? Yeah.
Oh, that's
comic worthy.
Could be a YouTube series.
That's a comic right there.
Faux pas.
No, that's a whole comic idea. We just wrote a comic on air.
It also sounds like a furry workshop manufacturing. We only do the gloves. We only do the gloves. Very specific.
I think if you Google faux pas and spell paw, P-A-W, you'll find a bunch of furry suit manufacturers.
Definite furry shit. Yeah, absolute furry shit. It's very funny that people are still shocked by furries when they've been mainstream internet knowledge for 2 decades now. So whenever and there used to be so much hate on them, and now I feel that amongst people that have just been on the internet for a long time, people see a furry and they're like, hey,
Yeah,
they've
like
become
that.
more or less accepted.
Yeah, I mean, I've actually found that they are big in the Linux community by following.
That makes sense to me.
Following a few Linux guys, all of a sudden I'm like seeing Twitter accounts with furry icons as the profile picture, and that's been interesting. They have, I think they have better acceptance. I remember various places like they had to dedicate a board. There's a special board for them. I'm talking about like DeviantArt, special board for the furries. 4chan, special board. Where else had boards? I mean, obviously Reddit and Dig had special boards. And so you just learn to coexist, and they also developed like a really strong community of defending each other. So you don't want to fuck with them.
They're also inexplicably wealthy because they all somehow have the ability to commission that very elaborate art.
Oh yeah, the art is insane. The art's great.
Yeah, it's like the Sistine Chapel of our time. Get the furry pope to do the furry Sistine Chapel.
Well, I just got back on my oldest internet account, which is my DeviantArt account, and because I was downloading a skin for the music player known as Phobia 2000, and it has the number 2000 in it because it was programmed in the year 2000. And it works better than Windows Media Player, which I used to use, which also was programmed in the year 2000. But Phobia you can customize to the T. Everything that you can right click on. I'm talking menu bars, I'm talking panels, searches. You can right click and customize everything. And there's a vibrant community of people who put out skin packs on DeviantArt for you to download to make your Phobia music player look cool. And so I got onto DeviantArt, and I created my account in 2004. So it's the furthest back in time I can go to see myself on the internet, which is kind of cool.
It's amazing that you still remember your password from back then.
Oh, I was meticulous about password management starting in, I think, 2003. I lost access to a Zanga.
No!
Yeah, my Zanga.
All of your thoughts!
My black background with red text to symbolize angst.
Yes, but we have evolved in our web design. Now it's a black background with white text that I forced you to do. Yeah. You didn't want you to do it, but I said, no, I like it.
Yeah, no, it's good. It makes them...
It's good. It looks like Maddox in circa 2004, which is my Rosetta Stone of good web design.
Yeah, we're gonna.
I say that mockingly, but I do think the Maddox website did have good web design.
Our trajectory is like Maddox. We're gonna pivot from 20 subscribers on our podcast to a YouTube channel that gets maybe 2 people to watch.
Yeah, his internet career is sad.
Yeah.
I mean, it's because he was always talking about manliness, and when they finally put him in front of a camera, he's like the least. He's like he's the beta cuckiest man on the planet.
I'm pretty sure my cat is about to throw up, so you might want to talk for a little bit.
All right, Steven is taking care of a little situation, so I'm just gonna wax a little melodramatic about the 2000s internet, or the internet when I was in high school, from about 2004 to 2008, which was very early YouTube, somethingawful.com. Some would say not the golden age of somethingawful.com, which was earlier, but very good years of Something Awful, when it was generating tons of the memes that would come to define the rest of meme culture on the internet, when Newgrounds was still really bumping, and part of that was Maddox, that type of humor, that type of edgelord, juvenile, pop culture referencing, but still still sort of freeing and liberating because it was coming from totally independent sources. It was totally DIY, which separated it and made it seem different than comedy that was coming from other sources, that was backed by corporate money, or couldn't say the things that these guys were saying because it was backed by this normative corporate money. But eventually that edgelord stuff got absorbed into the main culture,
right.
And it became corporatized. I mean, Tucker Max eventually, got his movie deal. Oh, we all loved Tucker Max, didn't we?
Who is that?
Do you remember Tucker Max?
Nope.
Tucker Max was an early internet blogger whose book, he eventually released a book called I Hope They Serve Beer in Hell.
Oh.
And his shtick was he was an incredibly toxic bro that told stories about being a toxic bro. His most heavily trafficked story was one where he was doing anal with a girl and she shits on his dick, and his friend who's filming it in the closet starts throwing up, and then he starts throwing up on her and the lady starts throwing up. And it's very much Maxim. He was very much the Hunter S. Thompson of the Maxim magazine crowd.
Wow. And you think that's a true story, all of that throw up going everywhere?
Generally thought of it was faked. Generally, people thought that he faked that one. But there were other stories of him being a dirtbag and manipulating women that people seemed to love because they were all like, these stupid bitches. They're running a front to our... And the joke was, he's an evil guy and he admits it, but he's just so charming. And he writes such delicate prose about his brutal masculinity. We got it. We have to stand. And so Tucker Max was part of this sort of lad crowd of the 2000s, and I was while your cat was throwing up, I was waxing nostalgic on that 2000s lad.
No, I know. I kept my headphones on.
You knew.
I kept my headphones on the whole time. Yeah, Ramona throws up every so often. She's got a hairball problem that I can't really do anything about except give her hairball medicine and hope for the best. So poor Ramona.
Get her to stop eating her hair.
I wish. We need to do a little
coat
CRISPR.
her body with a foul tasting substance.
We could if we could CRISPR cats to be like they don't lick themselves and have hairballs, and instead we have to I would have to bathe her. It might be a trade-off I would consider. But she'd have to like it. Like if she doesn't want to be bathed and does that thing where she tears my flesh into ribbons, that would be bad.
Yeah. Well, what you gonna do?
We should have a pet episode.
She's an aggressive cat.
Let's have pet episode.
We had a pet episode very early into our into our run.
I can't remember.
We had an episode called Pets, but it wasn't about our pets specifically. It was about pets in general.
Huh.
But I could go for hours talking about it. Well, that's another piece of discourse. So, Kath Barbadoro, who I like, she does Why You Mad podcast. She talks a lot about wrestling. She's also, some of the other leftosphere people don't like her because her dad is like a federal judge or something like that, so they think her woke takes are hypocritical. But she's she posted something which made me feel bad personally, which was that white people, please don't name your dogs foreign-sounding names. It's awkward for everybody. And then a comedian named Diego Lopez in the comments sounded off like, I've met a ton of white people whose dogs are named Diego. And I'm like, what?
Oh, no.
Okay. And then my dog is named Diego. And... which I recognize is probably fraught. There is probably when you have like a relationship with an animal and you call it like the name of a brown person might be seen as like you exacting some sort of relationship of dominance.
Well, did you hear about? Did they bring up the case of the British dog in the Navy that whose name was the N-word?
No, that's bad.
And it was common in the 19th and early 20th century in Britain to name your dog the N-word. So it's problematic because there is a famous one on a ship that they've wanted to make movies of, and And so they got Peter Jackson, right? They get Peter Jackson. And Peter Jackson's like, well, we're probably going to have to change the name. And then the English people are like, well, that's not historical. And then it's kind of like, well, I guess we're not going to make the movie then.
Look, he's got to be named that word, okay? It doesn't work if he's not named that specific word.
Yeah, not good.
What, are we just going to ignore history? Are we just going to take out all the blackface and Dr. Seuss? They did that. Those bastards.
It's not good. I don't know. You can't rename your dog, though.
No, I can't rename Diego at this point. I've met Latin people. I've met guys named Diego who've met Diego, and they don't appear to take any umbrage. Maybe they're insulted on the inside, but at best it's a microaggression. And if someone points it out to me, I just take the L, and you're like, yeah, I'm right. You're right. But he's named that, and there's something I could do now.
Yeah.
I didn't think of it at the time, but it's the name he responds to. So. Sorry.
I think I did a microaggression on this show, either last episode or the one before, that I would just like to personally apologize for at this time. I cannot really remember what it was, but I do remember feeling like I did a microaggression at the time. And so, just apologizing for all past and future microaggressions.
The jazz musician Keith Jarrett once said that when he was improvising, he was making 1,000 micro decisions per second, and I'm making 1,000 microaggressions per second. I'm just working on that level,
Yeah.
I'm just constantly, pumping out the little subtle ticks of racism there.
Well, if you have that kind of personality, it's great. You should be a stand-up comic, because you should take it and be like the Dice Clay and just be as offensive as possible.
He's registering 20,000 microaggressions per second. I've never seen such power.
Yeah. Well, it's the millennial tendency of quantizing the non-quantifiable for microaggressions.
Yeah, quantizing the abstract. And I'm glad you mentioned that again, because what I was eventually getting to with that was David Graeber and debt, the first 5,000 years, and how he talks about debt in like a hunter-gatherer society as not being quantified at all. Just people understanding that they owed something to somebody, but there's no, monetary figure to keep track of how much exactly is owed. When the debt is repaid, it's sort of more of this qualitative, understood thing, as opposed to like counting up the beans of how much you owe me. So, and what debt implies is debt is the taking of that system and then putting the bean counter on it, which makes society more sociopathic, and it makes us unable to trust each other implicitly, or because you don't have the trust that you would have of people as you would in a hunter-gatherer society as you do in a neoliberal, urbanized, globalized wasteland.
Yeah. But, Alexander Hamilton argued in favor of debt. So.
Well, why did old Mr. Ham?
Because it gives
Captain
you
Ham.
It gives you explosive economic growth.
Yeah,
explosive
I think
economic
that's
growth.
debt in a. I think what I'm talking, and I haven't read Debt the First 5,000 Years. I'm just going what I know off the Wikipedia, or what Steve has told me. But this is sort of debt in a metaphysical sense, as opposed to, debt in a practical sense is like, how can we manipulate debt in order to generate wealth? Which is, that's what debt is really good for. But in terms of debt in its use as a method for supplanting trust in each other, that is sort of what David Graeber laments in Debt the First 5,000 Years. Not necessarily its practical ability to generate wealth, but the fact that it sort of removes our ability to have this qualitative communal understanding.
Yeah, I don't think we're in a position like America was at the turn of the revolution where we need that kind of explosive growth, but you kind of got addicted to it.
Mm-hmm.
And there's not a way to get it to go back.
We really like that's Twitter. You get that post go viral, have that explosive growth. What else does that make me think of? Going back to beardos and explosive growth, we find a great historical beardo in that of John Brown, who definitely has the. Well, he had more than the simmering rage. He was all rage, all the. Well, he was a lot of stuff. He wasn't just rage. He was definitely a lot of conviction.
Say that. He's not. Did he even have a beard?
He had a beard. John Brown was a beardo.
What?
I'm really comparing John Brown to Vaush, is what I'm doing.
What? How?
They're both beardos, connected by the beardo. And you don't have to be a man to be a beardo. There can be lady beardos as well. I'm trying to think of like a lady beardo. Lindsay Ellis, kind of a lady beardo.
Okay.
Which is why she and Movie Bob, you and Movie Bob are not so different, you and I. We're both beardos.
But
Lindsay Ellis definitely has that simmering rage.
I mean, that takedown
absolutely.
was like reminiscent of high school. She did a high school takedown on a guy publicly. Yeah. She was like, I don't know you.
That was so brutal. I love that, though. That's a classic Twitter moment. Oof. I don't really know you, and this is super creepy.
Yeah.
She couldn't have just DM'd that to him. I guess she said in the public Twitter post that she did DM him a couple times, but he kept doing it, which is why he now has to endure. But in her cancellation video, she says, she basically forgives Movie Bob, and she says, stop harassing Movie Bob.
Oh, wow. I should have watched
she realizes
more than 1 minute of that.
Me and Movie Bob, we are somewhat the same. Yeah. We are not so different, you and I, Movie Bob.
Wow.
We're just beardos. Two beardos trying to make it in this world.
Yeah, you gotta defend the people in your community, even if you are really creeped out by them sometimes.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, Movie Bob sucks. And I think that's what it is. It's just like a huge portion. The reason why people hate these guys is because they're gross looking. Like Vaush is just like a gross looking dude. It's like an aesthetic dislike on top of everything. No, but he says some genuinely fucked up shit.
I've never encountered any media he's ever done, and I don't know what he looks like.
Don't do it. It's not worth it. It's just all bad. It's not for us. No one over. If you're over 23 and you listen to Vaush, do you also like Justin Bieber records? Because you're a child, and that is the very timely reference. How old is Justin Bieber? Is he like 30?
Yeah, I can't wait. Yeah, Justin Bieber's going to be middle-aged soon.
Yeah, Justin Bieber aged 8 years. He aged faster than me, and now he's my age.
He's great.
And I talk at yummy, 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 yummy. Yeah, Justin Bieber at 30 will be interesting. I wonder if we're going to get a suit and tie, harried, bags under the eyes, been through it all Bieber, or will he descend further into dirtbagism? I hope it's dirtbagism.
I want him to go the Phil Collins route, Just
make Susudio again?
No, well, Phil Collins had that era of like the bedraggled divorcee with the songs "I Don't Care Anymore" and "In the Air Tonight."
You're right.
And he would wear like a suit that looks like he just got home after 8 hours of hard work at the office.
You're right. Justin Bieber is going to get divorced from the Baldwin child, and he's going to have a sick divorce album.
I think he's going to get divorced a lot more times, actually.
Yeah, he's going to have a lot of divorces. Just like 7 divorces.
Yeah, and then he will make a good album.
Then he will make the ultimate divorce album.
Yeah. I can't wait for our 60s, dude.
It'd be funny if Justin Bieber becomes like an MRA type guy.
Oof. I hope not. Those guys kind of faded away.
Yeah, well, well, they still exist. They got subsumed into like QAnon and alt-right shit.
They're the alt-right. I mean, they're the alt-right guys.
Yeah.
But like that as a movement is pretty cringe.
That was a character I came up with, like an MRA guy that's really into trans men because they see them as rejecting their inferior femininity.
Yeah. I know. I'm familiar with that idea. Like urging your daughter to become a trans man because that's how misogynist you are.
Yeah, I think that's a funny idea. That only exists in the minds of insane TERFs. That character.
Yeah.
But I think that's a funny idea for a character.
That's J.K. Rowling's worst
nightmare.
nightmare.
Well, because there is when Elliot Page came out, I was like, yeah, score one for dudes.
Yeah, one for our team.
Yeah. Because I sort of get it. Like, I understand trans women more than I understand trans men. It's because, oh, yeah, you got to be a pretty lady. That's nice. But who would want to be a guy, you know? We suck. We're awful.
I don't agree.
Why would you want to be us?
I don't agree. I'm positive.
It's nice when a woman is like, a person who's always a man, you know, is like, says, you know, being a guy is good. You know, that's what I want to be, you know.
Well, that's what's.
It feels weirdly affirming of your gender.
Yeah.
Especially because, you know, when you're told all your life as a man, you know, you're either the source of fear. Yeah, I think that's what I dislike most of. I mean, being a man is great. Obviously, being a man is a great source of privilege. You know, I have unprecedented power. I have people take me seriously for some reason just by virtue of being a man. But it does, one of the drawback, a very minor drawback, is it's very unpleasant feeling like people fear you all the time, or people feel like you're going to assault them, or like you're some source of, or like you're a creep, or like how you feel like you're a creep just because you're walking by a playground and you feel like people are going to judge you.
Yeah.
That's
funny.
That's like
that's why I don't walk
being
by
a man. That's sort of shit.
Yeah, I don't like to walk by an elementary school. Yeah. That can happen.
Yeah, and so I wouldn't trade the privileges of being a man, but I feel like we're sort of hated, as, you know, we should be. I'm fine with white men being the scapegoats because we do have all the power. So what do you want?
It's way easier to get a job or rent an apartment. Yeah.
But yeah, and I mean, I talk about, you know, the pain of being feared. You know, think about that. That pain is 1 billion times harder for black guys, and it's out there for them. There's such this omnipresent societal fear of black men, and it's I can't imagine what that feels like. And I'm minorly annoyed when, you know, people think that I'm a creep, you know, or people think that I'm untoward or capable of violence or something.
Well, shave that thing off and get a haircut, and you'll help yourself out, my friend.
Yeah.
Wear a bow tie.
And that gets Well, yeah, there you go. I should start dressing like Matthew Lesko in a big question mark suit, and then no one will find me threatening.
Why don't you just dress like a normal?
Yeah.
Conform. That's all you got to do.
I think there's also another reason to become a beardo is, like, the reason why you grow a beard is to cover up your simmering rage. When you expose your face, people can see what a crazy person you are.
Yeah. Well, when you have that much rage, your double chin starts to vibrate and it's super noticeable.
Yeah, it starts to wobble like a turkey, a turkey neck.
Yeah. That's
like Paul Bearer. Patton Oswalt always had a great bit about he's fat, but he's not B word fat. When you're fat such that everything that you pronounce with a B goes like this. And I brought my bees to the battalion and I buried them in a black pool. Yeah. There's just always a little pocket of air in your cheek that expunges itself every time you talk, every time you say a B word.
Ooh.
So we're not there yet, but I'm getting there.
Hey, yeah, you know, a man can dream.
Mm-hmm.